Welcome in. Settle down and get comfortable. Today, we're diving into an explainer that completely flips the script on how we view our past, especially those unpredictable, frankly, really tough chapters of childhood. We're stepping completely away from that outdated narrative that says you're permanently damaged. No way. Instead, we're unpacking the fascinating science of endurance, how early hardships actually forge some rare, unseen psychological superpowers.
I want you to really ask yourself right now, do you ever feel kind of isolated by your own habits? Like maybe you overthink literally every single interaction. Or you find yourself absolutely needing deep, quiet solitude just to function after a completely normal social event. And it leaves you wondering, am I somehow fundamentally broken? Okay, let's dive into this, because what the science actually shows is that you are far from broken. Actually, you might be exceptionally adapted.
Right, so modern psychology brilliantly reframes these perceived flaws. Things like profound social exhaustion or lying awake at 2 a.m. replaying conversations, these aren't signs of damage. Listen, if your childhood environment was chaotic or unpredictable, your mind didn't break under that pressure. It evolved to keep you safe. It learned to process an incredibly complex world at a much higher speed than average. So, what you might be calling a flaw today, yeah, that was actually a vital survival mechanism yesterday.
Which brings us to this fascinating paradox. When life hits you hard early on, it fundamentally rewires the way your nervous system responds to a crisis. I bet you've noticed this in your adult life. Think about it. When everything around you is falling apart, do you suddenly become the calmest, most capable person in the room? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the clinical term for this phenomenon: stress inoculation. Staying steady when others break down isn't a lack of emotion, and it's definitely not a lack of empathy. It's literal psychological proof that you've survived worse. Picture a high-stakes project at work going completely off the rails, or a sudden emergency at home. While everyone else is panicking, your brain just stays quiet. Why? Because it recognizes it has navigated much rougher waters. Your brain doesn't smash the panic button because, well, you've already built the immunity.
And this doesn't just apply to emergencies. Surviving a tough childhood permanently alters your social radar too. You don't just watch people, you scan them. Your past required you to be incredibly alert to your environment just to feel secure. And that early requirement, it turned into a permanent, highly tuned system of observation.
We call this hyper-awareness. It means you don't just rely on the words people are saying. When you grow up having to read the mood of a room to stay out of trouble, you develop these highly accurate instincts. You're continuously reading micro-expressions, tiny shifts in body language, subtle changes in tone. You instantly spot when someone is pretending, when they're lying, or when a situation just feels off. While others just take a conversation at face value, your mind is working overtime deciphering hidden intentions, because let's face it, your safety once depended on it.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why you might lie awake replaying a simple coffee shop interaction or some passing comment from a coworker. It's not just anxiety. Actually, scratch that. It's not mere anxiety at all. It's high self-awareness. It's strong emotional processing and an extreme sensitivity to social cues. Your active, fast-moving mind is treating social events as vital data. You're reviewing interactions, analyzing unspoken meanings, and processing deep emotional info to ensure future safety and connection. Honestly, it's a mark of high intelligence and a growth-focused mindset.
But let's be totally honest here. Running this kind of highly advanced mental software 24/7, it drains the battery incredibly fast. Constantly analyzing tones, reading between the lines, sensing hidden intentions, it requires a massive amount of cognitive energy. It's literally like having 100 tabs open on your browser at all times. Eventually, the whole system needs to cool down. It is thoroughly, deeply exhausting.
Because of this, the assumption people often jump to when they feel this way is, you know what, I just hate people. But the reality is actually far more forgiving. You are experiencing profound social burnout. This isn't about cruelty or having anger toward the world. It's about repeated disappointment and the sheer exhaustion of managing your own expectations. Over time, your mind is basically forced to lower those expectations and create a bit of distance simply to protect itself from being entirely depleted.
So, preferring solitude? That isn't isolation. It's a biological necessity. Stepping away into a quiet room physically lowers your cortisol levels. It calms your nervous system down. Because your hyper-awareness so quickly spots fake or manipulative behavior, casual social interaction can sometimes feel like navigating a minefield. Emotional distance prevents that sensory overload. It gives you the necessary space to form selective, really high-quality connections that actually restore your emotional energy rather than draining it. And here's the beautiful part.
When you learn to manage that energy and protect your boundaries, something truly incredible happens. You step into a profound freedom of internal strength. By not relying on the outside world to tell you who you are, you build this remarkably unshakable core. You've survived the worst parts of your story, and you did it by relying on your own resilience.
So, the crucial point is this massive psychological advantage we call the internal locus of control. Unlike folks who had relatively easy childhoods and might constantly need external applause or outside approval just to feel worthy, your past pain has granted you a very rare freedom. Your sense of strength and self-worth, it's generated entirely from within. You don't need the crowd to cheer for you because you have already learned exactly how to stand powerfully on your own 2 feet.
Pain teaches you something confidence never could. Just let that sink in for a moment. Confidence is a lovely trait, for sure, but it's usually built when everything goes right. But that unique strength you carry, that was built when everything went wrong and you survived it anyway. Your silent, difficult journey has given you a rock-solid foundation that simply cannot be easily shaken by the opinions of others.
Which brings us to the ultimate evolution of surviving a difficult past. We're shifting from defense to offense. It is no longer just about managing the pain or coping with the present day. It's about how that deep-rooted survival instinct ultimately evolves into an unstoppable forward momentum.
Let's move to and see how this builds into something called post-traumatic growth. Now, this isn't just bouncing back to who you were before the hardship, it's transforming into someone entirely new and significantly stronger. You don't quit easily when things get hard in your career or your relationships, because true resilience is forged exclusively in struggle, not in comfort. You've learned how to adapt and rebuild from the ground up, and that kind of profound endurance?
Yeah, that simply cannot be taught in a classroom.
True emotional maturity means your hard experiences didn't make you cold. They didn't make you numb. They made you beautifully controlled. You possess a tremendously rare combination of traits now. You feel emotions incredibly deeply, which gives you this profound empathy for the pain of others, yet you've mastered your own emotional regulation. You know exactly how to protect your own heart while still deeply, deeply understanding the complex world around you. You've developed strengths that were built in silence, in struggle, and in moments no one saw. If you've gone through more than people know, if your early years asked more of you than they ever should have, I really want you to understand this. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are equipped with incredibly rare, scientifically backed power that most people will just never fully comprehend.
So I leave you with this question to ponder today. How will you wield the hidden strengths your past has forged in you? Your resilience is literally your superpower. Be incredibly proud of the armor you've built and the soft heart you've managed to protect right beneath it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep growing, and I will see you next time.